afternoon. Thanks for joining us again here at Dawsons Auctioneers in Maidenhead in London. I'm joined today by Richard Harrison, Senior Valuer, with a particular interest in tribal and oriental items. Richard, thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
I thought I'd just put some interesting questions to you. Well, I hope they're interesting about these things. It's bewildering to an untutored eye, such as mine. You've got I was calling these Kifwebe masks, and I foolishly thought that Kifwebe was the tribe, but you told me that if you'd like to elaborate.
The Kifwebe is just the Songye word for mask. It's like when people call, say, Mount Fujiyama, they're just saying Mount Fuji Mount. So it's like a Kifwebe, a Songye Kifwebe mask is a Songye mask. But it isn't really bad. It's one of those sort of things. It's nice to sometimes have a full description of something.
Sure.
But what we have here is two masks from the Songye tribe, Democratic Republic of Congo. And you see, although for the same tribe, they're two totally different looking masks. They're very similar in certain ways. In fact, that the mask I have in my hand here has this large crest. And you'll notice that both of them have very much incised linear decoration. It comes in various stages. Some's very fine lined, like this one here, and it can be geometric or it can just be nice and linear. And sometimes it's stepped, as this one here. And the colour is important. It's not just purely for decoration. The black and white is the light, the dark, which you get again in the Orient as well. And the Japanese archers used to shout light, dark on horseback while they were firing their arrows off. But this again is all for good, for evil. But these masks here are purely now ceremonial. The male mask, they're both masks worn by males, but this is the representation of a male. This without the crest is a female mask, but not worn by females.
Interesting. So both would be worn by males, but one represents a female.
Yeah, and one represents the male. The male mask is very sort of probably incorrect nowadays. The male mask holds all the power.
Oh yeah, it is.
The taller the crest,
it's like a cockerel.
Yeah, the taller the crest, the more power and magic this man has.
Of course.
And again, through various stages throughout his life, the crest would get bigger.
Oh, really?
As he possesses more magic, more power, more knowledge.
Yeah, okay.
That sort of thing, and held in reverence. Again, interesting. These are sculpturally fantastic things. You can see where a lot of the early 20th century artists, such as your Braques and the Picassos and the likes, got their inspiration from. Because this mask purely on its own is quite a sculptural looking item. Yeah. And then, can you see it in the cameras there? And down the side here, we have some pierced holes, which would have held like a raffia beard. Because when this character went into the spirit world, as it were, you couldn't come out and have any part of the human body showing. So no shoulders, no, not even your feet. Everything had to be covered. So they could envelop the whole spirit as the one without any human elements. And you'd come out of the jungle wearing this, and the first thing anybody from the village would see is just this figure with all this raffia on it and a big costume. And like, my goodness, they wouldn't have a clue who it was. Yeah. So it really quite a smart.
Imagine the impression.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you're a young child, you see this coming out of the jungle at you.
Terrifying.
Absolutely, and covered in raffia and a costume. You're thinking, oh, you'd be scared to death, and also, and that's what a lot of the parents used in order to keep the children from out of harm's way. These things the spirits live in the forest, in the jungle. Yeah. Don't go in there, because in there there's snakes, there's other things that will kill you.
It's a bit like the gnomes, don't go in there. The gnomes and all the rest of it in the woods, and they eat. Yeah, it filters right through, doesn't it?
It's like the trolls in Norway. Exactly.
Exactly.
They're all extinct now. Yeah. But yeah, a wonderful thing, and often painted using sort of natural pigments, and a lot of them use kaolin, which is sort of people in the Oriental world will know as China stone and China clay.
Did you say that there was a special name for this kind of sort of whistling mouth?
Well, this mouth is known as a butterfly mouth. That shape is known as a butterfly.
Oh, okay.
A very sort of
very distinctive.
Very distinctive, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you get the Luba do a similar sort of mask, and it'll be a circular with protruding lips here and a circular end to it, often with 4 little holes in as well. And often you'll find as well is the nostrils here will have animal hair coming out of it.
Funnily enough, there's one in the room, isn't
There is, yeah. But when you get a lot of these items again used for ceremonial purposes, equally people nowadays buy them for decorative purposes.
Of course.
And people obviously, well, how do you tell a good mask from a bad mask? And often you say, well, if you look inside, is there any sort of sweat marks?
Of course.
You're looking for it down.
You would sweat
it's
if
hot.
you're wearing that.
Yeah, it's hot already. So you'd sweat all down the sides here. You'd certainly sweat around the mouth and the nose area. So those are signs that you have to look for. And another good sign is, are these holes all uniform? Because a lot of the early ones will be drilled by hand. The later ones, machine drilled and straight away in there. But regardless of that, these are smart looking things.
Great pieces of sculptural art.
Very sculptural and, sort of thing I'd love to have at home, but my wife wouldn't let me.
Okay.
Sounds familiar.
And these are the second tranche of a very good collection.
It is. This is the second part. We had 220 odd lots in April from the Andrzej von Starenberg Niedenthal collection. Now this chap was a collector cum dealer, which is probably the worst thing in the world because dealers don't like to let good things go. They have to survive and have to eat, but the good things they like to keep hold of because they never know when they're going to find another one. And in the collection, there's items from all over Africa. North Africa. The majority of these items come from West Africa, Nigeria, all down to Congo, Angola, Ivory Coast, all on the western side. And then you'll get some move into the centre and South Africa as well, sort of Maasai sort of ones. And a lot of these things are agricultural. And here we have what's known as a tribe called the Hemba. And this is a monkey mask. And it's carved wood again. It's like a proboscis on here. Yeah. You've got little hatched eyebrows, and you've got a very stylized, what's known as a coffee bean eye. So when you look at the eyes on a lot of tribal figures, they are like almonds or coffee beans.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one here has got some pigmentation on it. Sometimes added, sometimes it's used from having been in a ritual. And like a lot of these figures, they weren't actually kept in the village itself. They were kept out in the forest.
Really?
And because they invoke a spirit, it has to be fed. So a lot of these were covered with egg or chicken blood. And you can kind of people sort of think it's very voodoo. It's absolutely nothing of the sort. All very protective. Sometimes there are mischievous elements to it because the monkey in life is a mischievous animal and so forth in the spirit world. And the monkey again is often used as a connector for divination ceremonies between here and the afterworld to contact ancestors and used by a spirit to contact the otherworldly spirits. But again, for stylistically, it's a smart looking thing. A real,
I mean, imagining, above a lucite table in a very, very stylish apartment.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a hide covering on the back here that would go over the head. And again, it's the sort of thing that would be used with a costume. So when the ceremony was performed, and sometimes these are initiation ceremonies for a boy or a girl reaching a certain stage in adulthood. Yeah. Sometimes it's for circumcision and other rituals, and that we kind of think could bring sort of water to your eyes. But for just a very good individual piece of art.
Oh yeah.
Totally, to a degree unique and a real talking piece as well. It's not the sort of thing you'll see in a lot of homes, but those that do have them, as an auctioneer and a valuer going on lots of homes, you'll know yourself, you hone in and actually think, this person, they've got a bit of an eye here. Mm. They've got something really quite good, really quite different. And I was at a house just the other day, and this chap had about 50 different masks on the wall where his dad had collected them in Nigeria. He was a grain merchant.
Oh, really?
And there was a granary door from the Dogon in Mali. I said, it's a granary door from there. He said, how would you know that? I've seen many now. But they're just wonderful things. And this house had all these plaques. You kind of think there's somebody here who's lived a life, a different sort of life. But these are wonderful, wonderful sort of things. And again, nice to handle, even though you can say, is it egg on there? Is it a mixture of blood as well? Well, likely it is, that's for the holder to find out and choose decide themselves. And from the same tribe, again with a little more, you probably can have seen this.
It is.
Exactly, yeah. The scarifications and a very sort of zoomorphic, but also anthropomorphic as well. Again, not as pointy,
stylized as that one.
as it does, but still quite a figure. You know, he looks like he's got a big smiling face.
He does, doesn't he?
You can sort of say this is the mischievous side.
Yeah, he's got that kind of look, that cheeky look.
And what this would do, this would be held on the hip, tied to the hip. In dance ceremonies as well. And sometimes the small ones are called passport masks. And it tells you that we're from the Luba, we're from the Hemba, we're from the Liga societies.
I see.
And all hand carved from wood. And again, it's all got this sort of rough incrustations on it. Again, could be egg, could be chicken blood, you know. Again,
bit of earth pigment.
Bit of earth pigment. Yeah, the likelihood is it's probably not. But when you tell people that, it also brings out a bit of fascination.
It adds flesh to the bones.
Absolutely, yeah. So they're two sort of wonderful masks, again for sale tomorrow. And again, if you want something a little bit different, a little bit unusual, they're not going to cost the earth either.
It's a start of a collection.
And even if you just have one to discover where it's from, what it means, it adds all that little bit more interest to it.
Of course it does.
But again, a lot of these lap dances are used by the male. Sometimes the females aren't allowed to see these.
Really?
Not at all.
It's a bit like African Freemasonry there.
Well, it is, because a lot of these societies are secret societies.
Okay.
And the monkey is, as we'll see in the where's he gone? This chap here.
Yeah.
What's known as a Gebrek monkey. And this chap here is very sort of stylized again. And this is an actual monkey skull embedded in here. Again, monkeys also, again, as well as being sort of messengers to the afterworld, similar, it always seems to be animals are messengers to the afterworld or to the god. The Japanese had crows. Crows are messengers to the god for the Japanese. But this is an actual monkey skull in his figure here, and the arms are very stylized and very flat, and very much like a tribe called the Mamuye tribe, have these sort of flat stylized arms. It's almost like a female figure as well. It has breasts and these big, large, flat feet on here. And again, covered in a black, earthy pigment. But again, a protective thing. Again, it would protect a lot of men's secret societies.
Yeah.
So again, it's the sort of thing you would hide in the jungle or in the forest or whatever, and if it's a sort of agricultural society, and be brought out to play this protective spirit. But a wonderful thing. And that one there is lot number 10 in our sale tomorrow.
And what would something like that be? What would be the estimate on something like that?
It comes with other items, and I've put some very sort of conservative estimates on the items in order for people to say, hey, these are really good things. Come and have a go.
Very difficult to value, I should think.
Don't let the estimate put you off. Now, you'll notice with a lot of ethnographic art, people, even some of the best in the world, do not date these sort of things, because these sort of things, it's made 100 years ago as it is now.
Yes.
With the exception of there's certain electronic drills can be used for speed and essence, but all the incrustations, it all can be faked and made to look really old. So I could say to you, I think that's 100 years old. It'd be completely wrong. It could be 70 years old or 50 years old. But I think this is mid 20th century.
Yeah, okay.
I would stab a guess at that. And there's certain ones you would think, well, that looks really old as well. But is it the same? Of the two sort of animals, one's very much sort of a malevolent looking sort of spirit, whilst the other one's kind of a happy sort of spirit.
Yeah.
But quite a sort of a shocking thing. So if you like the macabre, you may see that as being rather macabre. But equally, again, it's like a lot of the African art. It's not macabre. It's not evil. It's there to protect.
Yeah, I think as Westerners, we tend to bestow sentiment on it that isn't necessarily there,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'd have the same feeling about bats if Bram Stoker hadn't looked Dracula. The Japanese think bats are good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
You get 5 bats is wonderful. It's all the sort of our Western perceptions
we bring to it.
Yeah, we bring our own stories to it.
Exactly.
And you've got a skull here rather than a sort of a happy smiling.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a wonderful little
Richard,
thing there.
this has intrigued me. This lady here, which obviously is a lady. What's the story behind? See if I can get her. There we are. There she is. What's the story behind
She's
her?
a
Sorry.
Maconde body mask,
Okay.
and you get these in male and female forms. Male form is a little bit more fuller, should we say, but shown as a pregnant female.
Yeah.
Breasts are full of milk, and again, it's not nothing sexual about it. It's all about life. And the Maconde are a minority ethnic tribe in Tanzania, and these are masked again used as the Mikike ceremony and worn. Again, protective items. You can see at the back here how it's all been carved out.
Yeah,
And all the gouges out there, which you would, if you saw that on English furniture, you'd be thinking 400 years ago.
Yeah.
This sort of heavy or even as late as the Georgian times, crudely gouged out. But again, she has little holes at the side for additional costume. She's got the remnants of costume here.
Almost like a cowl or something.
Like a cowl, like a mask. But the Maconde, like a lot of African tribes, are very matrilineal. So they trace their descendants through the female side of the family line. But again, you can see her here. She has all these scarification marks.
Yeah, exactly.
All down her face here. Scarification marks on the side here.
That looks hellish painful. When I've seen it, I've seen it on documentaries, ethnographic documentaries, and the way they tap it in. Forget tattooing. That scarification looks terrible.
Well, you can burn it in as well, and you can cut and rub ink in for scarifications as well. But she's carved wood. She's lot number 48. And again, if you have that on a wall, again, it's a positive thing. It's a protective thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing evil about it. Let's just put away my hands. She has a reddish pigment to her face.
Yeah.
But it's only when you get up close that you do see the scarifications etched out, geometric forms. Again, the swollen belly, the swollen breast, all to do with there's life-giving. So very, again,
and the eyes are so well observed, aren't they? The eyelids.
Absolutely. It's like a lot of the statues you get on churches. It's oversized eyes.
Yeah.
So you can sort of boring down at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just a made-up face. It's a past relative. It's an ancestor.
I didn't know that.
It's not just somebody plucked out of the sky. This could be the representation of somebody's past grandmother, past mother, and her spirit lives on through these figures. And it's like a lot of things. The spirit. It's very important that the spirit lives on and the spirit doesn't die.
Yeah.
It's always there. We had a chap visit us. He was from the Yoruba, and he saw all these figures, and he says, "Oh no, there's too many spirits here. There's lots of spirits here. I can't do this." But to us, we see a decorative item, and again, once you learn a little bit more about the actual item itself, it becomes more than a decorative item.
Of course,
it becomes something of social and historical influence. And again, she's just a wonderful thing. If you get a close up of the face, she's really, really good. I don't know if it's on your camera or that camera. Can you see that?
There we are.
Oh yeah, and
the pigmentation is very rich, isn't it? What we term, I suppose, in furniture, it's got a lovely patina. Whether or not that's been achieved falsely or not, it doesn't matter, because I should think there's still quite a little bit of age there, isn't there?
This is the difficult thing with aging any of these, is the fact that the same process has been used for decades, if not centuries.
Yeah.
And so it's always advisable to date them.
Yeah, but I think what you've got there is
you've got
a piece of art, haven't you?
Yeah, really? That's exactly it.
That's the way.
But again, with a piece of art, you can, it's like anything. The detective work is the most exciting thing about it. Is the fact that you've got something here. And I always, as a youngster, wanted to know, what is it? Where does it come from? What was its purpose?
Why is it like that?
Why is it here? You know, and that's a nice thing about the detective work, about our job, is that we can actually find the time to find out what it is. Now, these foreign items, again, look at the patination on these. Wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
These are from the Lulua tribe. A lot of these are from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And you can see how stylized, how stylish, how, overcarved often they are, and really highlighted the scarifications.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see it all down the side of his cheek.
Well, it's almost like a hermaphroditic figure. Sometimes have breasts as well as male genitalia. So it's quite often you can see a similar one there is a hermaphroditic figure.
It seems to have sort of knee.
Yeah, the knee, really pronounced knees. Yeah,
I was going to say knee pads, but I didn't mean knee
pads. But again, lit up from behind or at the front, a real stylish piece of sculpture again. I mean, the scarifications, they tend to they use either stones or glass, and they cut in from 1/4 to 3/4 deep. So make a small incision, and then they force the stone or the glass in. On the human, and with often, because it's not a surgical process, there's no anesthetic. So the amount of scarifications on these figures, I mean, it must be absolute agony.
Is it a sort of rites of passage type thing?
That's exactly it, because there's certain amounts of scarification can tell you what stage of life you're at, how high you are in that culture, or that you belong to a certain tribe. Yeah. So all these scarifications mean totally different things. Sometimes it can be pictorial from a time in your life,
But it hasn't really changed, has it? Sort of imagine I know it's slightly different, but a tattoo of your football team, or I know it's probably oversimplifying it, but it's.
I know, it's a kind of the football sort of. There's a tribalness to that as well, isn't there?
It's probably a poor analogy, but you see my point.
Yeah, but the tribalism here, it has import. Yes. It's not just there for fashion to say,
exactly.
Look, I do belong to this tribe.
Yeah.
This is my culture. This is where I'm at in life. This is my status in this culture. But lovely sort of things, again.
It's got a lovely feel to it, this one.
And that's the nice thing about a lot of antiques is the tactile nature of them.
Yeah.
Good things you keep holding.
Yeah.
And you ever notice if you pick up something that's not too good, you put it straight back. But these are just wonderful things to hold them. And the more you handle them, the better that patina will get.
An old boss of mine, when I worked in conservation, used to say that things came to hand well. And, it's right.
Yeah.
How, obviously,
And if you look at your figure here, you've got the almond-shaped eyes.
Yeah.
And the hair sculpt, again, it's not just a head. It is a real sculpture. Some of these hair sculptures can take up to 10 hours to do. So it's not just a case of you've got 5 minutes, let's go and get ready.
No, of course.
It's a case of you tell them the day before or the day before.
Yeah.
To get ready. And the hair, they are absolute sculptures and wonderful. But these are the Lulua tribe. And again, lovely patination. So again, it could be lots of chicken blood, animal blood, dirt.
Yeah, and
egg, is a great binding agent.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, all these are maternal figures. And if you look at the smaller one here, a real stylized body to that. Isn't that wonderful?
Can you get that one on the camera there? Look at the detail on that one, Richard.
Absolutely fabulous.
Look at the baby.
The scarifications are here, are really crisp.
Yeah.
Geometric on the top here, almost like a power charge horn at the top here.
That's
and the elongated neck.
That's a beautiful piece of carving, actually.
It is. Wonderful things.
Lovely thing. And what tribes would that be? The same?
Same tribe. Same tribe. Lulua tribe.
And this.
And again, if you look at some of these carvings on these, it's almost very Maori. Very South Seas as well. You can also think, that could be from Papua New Guinea. All the scrolls are very. They look like Papua New Guinea on the bottom there. The Papua New Guinea sort of.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Again, something like that is just
That's lovely,
really,
isn't it?
really smart
Not
thing.
the biggest one,
No.
but super quality.
Super quality, yeah. And again, if you just had one of these items, you look at that and think, oh, that's something a bit different.
That would be nice to start a collection with,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it don't have to be huge. We have figures in the sale that are community power figures that are over a metre high. You don't have to start at the biggest. Sometimes the best things come in the smallest package.
That's another
maternity figure again, and you look at the similarities between the scrolling
Yeah.
differentiation, and a lot of these tribes are sort of, they're moving around, nomadic, and you'll get influences from different tribes. So these all have ring around the neck. This one here has a scarification, and this one is just awesome, almost like hobnail glass.
Yeah.
But again, with that sort of South Seas style.
It does, yeah. I mean,
of scarifications. And quite an elongated head, which you also get from the Luba tribe, which goes really far back.
Yeah.
But again, a female figure, the abdomen slightly swollen there. That's where life springs from.
Yeah.
Life comes from the abdomen. And again, the towel touching the breast is all to do with life.
I mean, you know, in the West, we infer sort of a sexual element to it, but in actual fact, what this is about life, isn't it?
Absolutely,
not about.
Oh, it's not about sporty teenagers looking at National Geographic in the 70s.
How did you know that?
but it is. It's all about life. Even the male figures, where the genitalia is showing again, it's there's nothing sexual about it. It is life source, life reproduction, continuing to give life.
Well, am I right in thinking that some of the makers of these things may have been fairly unclothed anyway?
So, absolutely, yeah.
So there's no sort of titillation to it.
No, not at all.
It's
this is just how they were,
just the way they were.
No need to cover it. It's hot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, the scarifications, these Luluar tribe items are just fabulous pieces of sculpture.
That's a lovely patina on that, isn't it?
Again, these long elongated bodies, and look at the length of the body on here.
This is the same tribe again.
Yeah, and if you look at the arms, very similar. Hand on the abdomen here as well.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, he's sort of framing his navel.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, the patination is wonderful. Again,
there's something otherworldly about them, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, to call it a sort of alien would be absolutely wrong, because these often are representations of ancestors.
Yeah.
But they're just fantastic sculptures.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the eyes and that, and individual talking pieces. Again, all from Africa. Majority of all from the Western Africa, where a lot of these figures are tribal. A lot of them they're not sort of vicious tribes. They're farmers.
Yep.
A lot of these figures are looking after the family. They're looking after the livestock. They're looking after the harvest. Looking after the village. So all good positive items. They want to look after their children. They want to look after the woman in birth.
Yeah.
While during pregnancy. So all wonderful protective items here. And a lot of these would sit in the corner of a dwelling and act out what they were supposed to be doing, which is protecting. So another aspect, we go on to the this is from the Chokwe tribe, known as it's a Kapu Kulu mask. Now it looks like a bird. It's very
terrifying.
What do you think? It's very anthropomorphic. You've got all this raffia around the side. So imagine that on the head. This was an item used in a ceremony particularly associated with the circumcision ceremony for young boys, but also in other ceremonies as well. But it does look like a bird with a really long beak here, but it's not. In the Chokwe tribe, it's not an animal, it's not a bird, it's an ancestor.
Really?
So we instantly think that's a bird. It's even got little nostrils on the beak.
Exactly.
It's hollowed out eyes. But in the Chokwe culture, it's not. It's an ancestor. And the Chokwe are an interesting group. And when we just said that a lot of them aren't vicious, the Chokwe actually were good at protecting themselves. They were used by the lumber nobles to protect them. So they taught them all different ways of protecting. And eventually they taught them so well that they overthrew them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is quite unusual. But again, it's a hand carved. This is the important thing with these is they are hand carved. You know, and this is all hand carved. You see how all the little adze would chip away at the trunk here, chip out all the back, and you can probably see from the back of the items here, as you can with the masks here, all the chipping out by hand. It's all hand done. So that's a wonderful mask, and I say it's got the stand with it as well, which really does. Again, if you had a light on that, it would just look really, really fantastic. And again, one of those talking pieces that you're not going to find on the high street.
No.
And that's a wonderful thing about an auction is you will find the weird, the wacky, and the wonderful.
And in the right setting,
And in the right, yeah.
would look absolutely fantastic.
Again, it's just a fabulous item. There's actually 2 or 3 of those in this sale. So from this one, a lot of these items here were in the collector's personal home, where a collector will sort of keep the items that they don't want to sell. They don't have it on show because they don't want to sell it. And if they do have it on show, it'll have a price on it that's I don't want to sell you price.
It's an inhibitive price.
Absolutely, yeah. So you think, well, I really, really like that. And if I don't get £700 for it, I'm not going to sell it. And likely it is they wouldn't sell it. But there's roughly about 156 items in the sale tomorrow. And please do have a look through the items. And if something does look a little bit scary, don't be put off. It's not. A lot of the items are protective items, and they're not there to scare. They're there to help you. They're there to protect you. A lot of the power figures, the fetish figures, you can charge them up with positive energy, and that figure will then go on and bring you good luck. That's what's supposed to happen. So if you can get a chance to have a look at the sale, please do so. Dawsons Auctions, and you'll see it on there. And hopefully we'll see you bidding as well. And if you are, good luck. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Richard. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.